And
We're
our event is starting, and we're live. Okay.
We are live. Welcome back to the weekly poll, everybody. Where this week we have a special guest, Aris. I'm not even going to try his last name because I'm going to butcher it horribly because I can't even say this stuff on my own scripts properly, from Variant Comics. And normally I'll go over the top and give you a crazy intro, but I've been told not to do it today. So, Aris, why don't you explain to us what your channel is?
My name's Aris, last name Quinones. My channel is basically I talk about all things. I say it. It's my catchphrase in the show. I talk about all things comics. So I do history of episodes where it's basically it's kind of like school for comic books where I'll do like a 10-minute breakdown of like a character that week, like Wonder Woman, whatever, Batman. And then I review comic books time to time, TV shows, movies, video games, top 10s, top 5, whatever in the world of comics is out there. I'll talk about it. So all things comics.
Awesome enough, man. So, all right. So one of the things that we were going to talk about today, one of the things that Eric said he wanted to talk about was Batman Eternal, which admittedly, like, I don't know anything about.
Marvel explained you don't know anything about Batman
I
Eternal.
don't know anything about DC Comics.
Okay, I actually have a funny story about Batman Eternal real quick for you, Aris, all right? And this is for you. So,
Okay.
Rob hits me up yesterday morning, and I'm editing my Deadpool episode, and I'm already working and everything. And he hits me up, and he says, Aris has one topic that he brought up that he wants to discuss, Batman Eternal. And I'm the DC guy. And I'm like,
Right.
Great, I haven't read Batman Eternal since issue 10. This will be epic. So I run out to the comic book store. I buy issues 11 through 26.
Nice.
I come home and I blitz read it, and I'm chatting with these guys the whole time. I'm like, okay, so in issue 15, this is what happened. Maybe this is what he wants to talk about. Issue 18, here's what happened. Maybe this is the topic.
What's hilarious about that story now is you're probably ahead of me because I'm 2 issues behind.
Oh crap!
Well, then we won't discuss 25 or 26. So, but I blitzed the whole thing down, and I will say before we go into it, I abandoned ship at issue 10 because it was going nowhere, and our main villain was Dr. Pig or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
But by like issue 18, 19, it really started to pick up and actually started to like, oh, what am I reading? This is getting good.
Oh man.
No, I really like how like all the I just like Scott Snyder, I guess his team, he's leading Team Batman, but I really like what he's doing with how we got like 5 different stories going on, so it jumps around a lot. So if you're not reading all of them, you're not going to get it because it might pick off, they'll leave off with Red Robin and Batgirl, and then they'll skip and do a story with Penny. I mean, Penny 1, I guess. Penny 1 and his daughter.
Penny 2. Yeah.
And so it jumps back and forth, but I like how it's covering everything Batman, and now recently, I don't know if this is a spoiler for anyone, but I don't think it is. He's on the cover. Hush has now been introduced. It's his first appearance in 52.
Yes.
So that is really cool that he's been in the last 2 issues that I've read. Like I said, I'm like 2 issues or so behind. But I think it's really cool how they're bringing him in with Hush, and then from there, with Batman Eternal, and then from there going into Batman. Maybe we'll see him in Endgame, which could be really cool. Maybe that was the purpose. I know how this Endgame is going to the end of Eternal.
Right.
Where Batman Eternal is setting everything up. So they're doing like a Quentin Tarantino. And again, like, let's see how it happens.
Yeah. They're doing that whole thing with the Future's End deal, where they're setting up the future and then they're jumping around in time and you get confused where you're at. And I agree with you with the Hush thing. Bringing Hush in was great because I didn't like all the original villains.
Well, yeah,
And the jumping around in the story is what kind of lost me. I know it's a weekly title, so it's easy to get caught up. But even though it's a weekly title, it might be 4 issues before we get back to Alfred Pennyworth. Or it might be 4 issues before we get back to Batgirl and Red Robin in South America.
Yeah.
And, because my stacks are like 30 comics a week. So that's kind of hard to keep track of what happened to Batman Eternal 3 weeks ago. And that's kind of what lost me. So sitting down and actually reading it back to back was really good.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, something that'll be better in trade and or for like the diehard Batman fan who's going to be reading it every single week. Like if you're reading it casually, I guess you could get a little confusing, or maybe if you just like wait a month, do 4 issues and kind of just like gang read them all. I guess that could be easier that way too.
Right. I'm a huge Batman fan. I get a lot of the Batman books. It's just I think maybe because I read so many Batman books on top of every other book I read, it was kind of hard to follow until I sat down and read the whole thing back to back.
Yeah.
Now, reading through it, and I'm pretty sure this happened. I'm not sure how recent it was because I don't think it was the last 2 issues. How do you feel about them retconning more origin for Catwoman?
I kind of like how they're doing with. I like the whole lion thing. I guess that's probably a big reveal. I don't know. So spoiler alert. For
Spoiler
anyone.
They're used to us just spoiling everything, so don't worry
Yeah, right.
about that.
He's been revealed as her father, which is it's kind of the New 52 in general. I kind of like in this. I know a lot of people. It's kind of seems 50-50 at least from my perspective with people. Either you love it or you're kind of like, I want the original or the other continuity back. But I really like how I kind of like the changes because a lot of them are, some of them are dumb, but they're more updated. It's a new audience. It's meant for people who don't really know the old continuity. Like all of us, we know it, but I'm more accepting, I guess, of like change where some people are not accepting of change.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really bother as long as the writing, as long as it's good, which I thought it was kind of cool. It doesn't bother me. So you could change pretty much almost anything. I mean, there's certain things you need to keep, but as long as you do it well,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Like especially, I know the big thing in the New 52 is their underwear. When it's like, no,
I'm fine
that's
with
awesome.
that underwear, though. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I agree with you about the New 52 changes and everything like that. The only ones that really bother me are when they just like haphazardly throw like, Batman's been done in 5 years and we're just not really going to explain how the whole Robin thing worked out.
Yeah.
Or Blackest Night is still happening, but we're not going to explain how that happened. So.
And if Blackest Night still worked, then who died and when? And
Yeah, exactly.
resurrect half of them. Like, I like the idea of the New 52, and I like some of the execution as far as, like, Snyder's Batman has been a breakaway success for me. Grant Morrison's Action Comics, like, 1 through 10, I really enjoyed. Especially with Rags Morales on art, it was gorgeous looking. So I was like, this is like a tentpole book. But there didn't seem to be like a really clear roadmap, and that you need to have that kind of like editorial direction in order to make it, I don't know, in order to have faith in it. Because otherwise they're just going to undo it or change it or whatever. Like, there's no permanence then. Especially because you've just changed everything anyway, and you've basically said like, oh no, nothing is permanent. But this is permanent for the foreseeable future. So it's a mixed bag.
Right, yeah. I will say 2 things, though. I know the Robin thing, I agree with you. That was kind of weird. That's really funky with, like, so wait a minute. This is all 5 years. So in 5 years, you had 5 different Robins.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he trained Batgirl at some point in there, because apparently she's been kind of retconned as part of the family fully now, not just on the side.
Yeah.
Batwoman, the whole thing happened. Oh, by the way, his back was broken still.
Yeah,
he also died in Final Crisis still, went time traveling. We're still going to reference that. But
Yeah.
Killing
that's
Joke
all in
still
5
happened.
minutes. Yeah, Killing Joke still happened, but Barbara Gordon recovered from spinal injury. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, so as a non-DC person,
Do you not like DC?
No,
like,
no,
you just don't like it, or you just don't read it?
I just haven't really
Or
read
is
it.
it-
Like I love Marvel
Okay.
comics. I've been reading Marvel comics since I was a kid, and so for me, like it's always been Marvel. I know about DC, like I know of
Right.
DC, and I know as much as like.
I've
your
heard of
average
Superman.
person. I've heard of Superman. I've heard of this guy that wears a ring and does stuff. I've heard of things, but I checked out Hush, and that guy Thomas Elliott, I think was his name. When that guy first shows up, I guess is his introduction story in 2003. That was awesome. That story actually sounded really cool because, like, for me, like coming from like a Marvel perspective, it reminded me a lot of Sinister Six, but it had a really cool twist at the end because in Sinister Six, like Dr. Octopus was leading everything, but in this, it looked like Hush was the one that was like manipulating everything. When it turned out, I guess, that the Riddler was actually the one at the end who was more or less like manipulating Hush and then manipulating all the circumstances that resulted from it. But he seemed like a really cool character because I guess what I would expect, and again, this is, from not necessarily reading DC all the time, is that if you're going to have like a major villain who's going to come in and who's going to like challenge Batman and say like, I'm going to more or less try to kill you, that you expect him to be some kind of like super Goliath character like Bane, who's, incredibly strong with that stuff that he uses, or, I didn't expect a guy showing up wielding like 45 caliber pistols to like almost lay waste to Batman. It was really kind of interesting to me, but I thought that story was actually a pretty awesome read. A lot better than I thought it was going to be anyway.
I totally agree with you. I think that's why part of the success with Batman Court of Owls, because he did it in a way where he's made them seem like they were always a part of Batman's mythology, like they were always there. So back in the Neil Adams days, George Perez, whatever, like they were there, lurking behind the set, like they ran Gotham, which was, I think, why everyone liked it, because he introduced a new villain that was actually always there, just no one ever talked about it until he did it, which he pulled it off flawlessly, I thought.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I really enjoyed how Batman for almost half until he met the Court of Owls. Was like, no, they can't exist.
Yeah.
There's nothing about Gotham I don't know. I know everything.
Yeah, that was a great way to. That was a great way for them to actually kick off the Batman stories for the New 52, like establishing, like Batman is like establishing Batman as like cemented in the mythos, but also then uplifting it a little bit or uprooting it a little bit by saying like, yeah, but Batman doesn't know everything, and unleashing this new foe, and also kind of changing around like the, and I thought. Yeah, never mind. I was gonna say like I thought they were gonna like drop the Earth 2 thing. Like I thought they were gonna drop like
yes, I thought
Earth
so
2
too.
bit. Yeah, with the reveal of Court of Owls, which I'm not gonna ruin unless we ruin everything on this show, which we got to do.
We're pretty good about that.
Yep.
The only thing we managed to not spoil, Aris, was when Guardians of the Galaxy came out. The entire comments yelled at us to wait a week, so we
Yeah.
You better not spoil it.
Yeah, all we did was just talk about how great it was. We're just like, yeah, it's great. We were just all great.
Yeah.
What's funny is I have a joke with my friends and people I work with. Like people have been wanting me to review Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't review it because that was the same week. It was like back to back with Ninja Turtles and then Guardians of the Galaxy that came back to back. So usually when big movies come out like that are comic book related, I'll do a history of episode because it just makes sense, right, on those characters.
Yeah,
so
we did the same thing.
So I was like, I had a little like conflict with myself. I'm like, what would they rather? The following week, a review of Guardians of the Galaxy or history of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I went with Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
They liked it, but I still keep getting to the. I just got one yesterday. When are you gonna review Guardians of the Galaxy? I'm like, it's like 3 months old. I'm probably not. It was great. it was good things. That's my
Exactly.
You should just do one of your one shots about it. Just be like a 1 minute thing.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's done. Go away.
These are my favorite parts. The end.
I actually contemplate doing a one shot on it, but it's so old now. I feel like it's kind of not relevant. Maybe when December when they release the Blu-ray, maybe I'll do it. I don't know, but I loved it. So anyone listening who's been asking, I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
I get that problem too right now because I do complete stories where I dramatically read out the stories and stuff, and I read out Original Sin, and everyone that doesn't read the comics assumes that Nick Fury revealed what he said to Thor, and I just missed it. So all I get are constant questions of what did Nick Fury said. So the moment that we find out, I'm just gonna make like a 30-second video of just me going, he said this. Now stop asking.
Yeah, like that's one of the things that people always. Well, also because like I had a speculation on what the deal was with Nick Fury, and then like I dropped the audio out when I said it, just to like mess with people a little bit. But people are asking me like what did Nick Fury say to Thor? It's like no one knows.
Yeah, we don't know.
Knows yet.
We don't work there. I have no idea. Like we're all on the same page, man.
Yeah.
Even in Thor #1, like even Marvel like blanked it out. Like
Yeah, that's what I heard. Have you read Thor #1, Barrett?
I haven't been to the shop yet. No, so this week's I haven't even picked them up yet. I know the Cap thing came out yesterday and Thor 1. Someone asked me today on Twitter like, which one did you enjoy better yet? I'm like, funny enough, I don't read my comics on Wednesdays. I usually read them on Sundays. Mm-hmm. I'll just have my stack and then I'll go through them. But even some like right now, my sister-in-law just got married. Before that, I went to her new husband's bachelor party. Then before that, it was a bachelorette party. So like I'm actually like 3 weeks behind. So I'm gonna have like this much to read come this weekend. Like my wife's not gonna see me for like 5 hours.
I run into because I live up in the mountains, so we don't even get our books until Thursday, sometimes Friday. Ooh. So I'm always behind.
Yeah,
well, not as behind as I am, Benny.
Oh yeah, we just don't buy them. But the reason I brought up the Thor thing is I want because we all know they haven't revealed it. Yeah, we've all had our theories. What is your theory on the Nick Fury said to Thor?
Honestly, I don't really even have a theory. I'm not even gonna try to BS you guys. I'm not sure. There you go.
I mean, I don't know. It's a coin flip. I mean, my guess is probably just as wild as the next one. Like, my guess was that Thor is not the son of Odin, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I got nothing, man. Yeah. I don't read enough Thor for me to actually like be like, oh well, there's all this stuff I could probably draw from that would create a great theory. Like, probably something.
You're unworthy. You're unworthy.
Yeah, that's all he said. You're unworthy.
Exactly.
Didn't explain why. Just said it, and Thor was like, "No."
Yeah.
I know the secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting to me, you know, with that whole thing because there's been like so many changes with Thor over the years, like taking on different identities and stuff. But I think this is like the first time Marvel sat down and said not only is Thor not worthy to wield his hammer, but like somebody else is going to wield it instead.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and that's what's really interesting here, because like they sound like they're replacing Thor, which again I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't think it's going to last that long. You can't have a character that's been in Marvel Comics for.
last very long.
I don't think it is either, man. I don't think it is
Until
either.
Avengers 2, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I
Hey,
mean,
No. Why would they bring back Thor?
It's gonna be like a mini series. It's probably gonna be like 6 parts, and then they're gonna nix it because nobody's gonna like it. Because Thor, I hope you don't mind if I ruin it a little bit, but Thor uses that axe thing to try to like beat off frost giants. Like,
Well, the axe was real last issue. It wasn't even real in this one. Because they showed Thor in the future, the 8-month future.
Yeah.
And he's wielding the battle axe.
But like he's pretty pathetic with that thing compared to Mjolnir. like he was trying to fight one frost giant and he couldn't he couldn't do it. He just fell to the floor of the sea.
Mjolnir, which allows you to fly, control the thunder, spin it around, do all kinds of crazy stuff. Random battle axe. What do you think is going to win that fight?
It has to have some sort of mythical powers. He wouldn't have just picked a random battle axe.
Well, he also was like crying for 5 days in a row, so
yeah,
no food.
I don't know. I think
don't spoil it too much. He still hasn't read it, so we don't want to go too crazy.
This is true. This is true.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Although I will talk. I want to mention like how, because you mentioned earlier, how everyone's like, oh no, because every time like they do a change with like a character, like Spider-Man, Peter Parker's dead.
Yep.
Batman's dead. Superman's dead. Nightwing is no longer Nightwing. He's a spy now. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be forever. It's like any long-time comic book fan knows.
Yeah.
You cannot get rid of these A-list characters permanently.
Yeah.
It could be. I'll even give you 5 years out, but at one point in time, that character will return.
They'll be back.
Well, the greatest example of that is Barry Allen. He stayed dead for like 20-something years. Like, no, we're bringing him back now.
Well,
by the way, he was never really dead. He was just in the Speed Force.
Another thing is it gives them a chance. It gives them a chance to try something original for a little bit. Like, even if it's bad and people think it's bad, it's still different than, oh, this guy's just alive and, like, with the Flash, can run really fast. Let's just make him run faster now.
Right.
Like, you can only do that for so long before you want to try something different with him.
Well, that's every Flash story is like, so Barry Allen can run fast, but this time he has to run so fast.
Super duper fast.
Yeah, like, no.
That's the current running plot right now, is that he's running so fast that he's broken the Speed Force and losing time now. That's the whole plot in The Flash.
He'll become time pretty soon. He'll just be running around the world and like...
See, this is why I can't get into DC Comics. Like some of the stories,
some
of the stories you guys have over there are just so far out there.
Okay,
how is this out there? So Barry Allen has come back in time because he broke the Speed Force as the Blue Flash, and he's now fighting with Red Flash because Red Flash is the one breaking the Speed Force. So he's fighting with them, and they're hitting each other so hard they've broken the Speed Force further, giving their powers to Wally West.
Didn't they do that in the 90s when Superman turned red and blue? Like, I've heard this story before.
Yeah, I thought it was like the Man of Energy or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't
Superman
remember that vaguely.
That was like the worst thing they ever did in DC. Let's completely change the Man of Steel's power set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your like most popular character. Let's mess that up.
Yeah. Riding high from the death of Superman. Let's make him blue. The end.
And next, what we're gonna do is Batman is also going to become the God of Sun, and we're just gonna go with that. We're just gonna see what happens.
But yeah, I mean, like Marvel's got their Marvel's got their dumb things too.
There were scenes from Original Sin of just like people holding the Watcher's eyes by their tendons, and you're like,
how caught up? Because you're 3 weeks behind, Aris. How caught up in Original Sin are you? Did you finish it?
No, I actually there's two series that I just have stacks. So Future's End, I've read like the first 2 issues, so I'm like 19 issues behind on Future's End, right? Well, funny enough,
don't bother. It's not worth it. Don't bother.
Funny enough, I know what's going on, especially with the reveals in because I've been reading Superman Doom. That one I'm up to date with. How at the end of Superman Doom, they revealed they had like the last splash page.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, so all those universes pre-52, everything exists. Mm-hmm. And then I guess there was a thing in Booster Gold. I didn't read that, but I saw the page from it because I was like all over the internet that day.
Yeah.
So then you have that, which throws back to a couple issues from the beginning of 52, and then they're like, what does he not know? What did he not miss? And it's just like all this confusion, which I'm kind of over the crisis things in a sense, because I know that's what this is going to. I'm like, I was talking to my friend Tom about it. I'm like, not another crisis, because it just gets so convoluted, and then it's just you have to read like 50 issues because everything crosses over into everything, and I'm like, I'm not gonna buy all the one-offs and all that because then I'm dropping like $200, you know.
Yeah, well, that's they're counting
to keep up with, you know.
Every September has been like that for me, like a $400 drop to get all the variant issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this year with Features End, I'm like, I don't like 90% of these. We're not doing it. Just give me my normal pull list and I'm good.
Really bad. My comic book retailer did like a full order of all the hologram covers.
Right.
Like just fully stocked. Like as many as if he got as many Grayson as he got Batmans, as he got new like Futures End Earth 2s. And I'm like, dude, it isn't 1995. Like you can't do. And he's like, yep, well, then I feel so bad because it's like, then why?
Because I know my shop, they'll give me the hologram covers and then the regular 2D covers, and they let you choose if you want both or which one you want. Because I guess you're on the pull list, they give you first dibs. But it's like $4, I think, per issue. Yeah, like $3.99.
Yeah.
It's like, and then you look at the stack and I have like 30 comics in there. It's like, okay, so 30 times 4. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, no.
I'm not doing this.
But I also
comics
action figures too. So like I've been doing all the DC New 52 action figures. Like I have every single one.
Nice.
Right.
I've got every single one up to 3 months ago, and I finally. No, I started it with the Justice League. They're just doing I'm gonna get that, and then like now we're doing Justice League of America. Okay, we'll do that, and now we're doing the Forever Evil Villains. Okay, we'll do that, and then at the end of that, like I started picking up Earth 2, and I started looking in the future, and I'm like, oh, now we have Teen Titans, now we have Justice League Dark. I think I'm done. I gave up. I was like, I'm done. I can't keep up with these. This is just ridiculous now.
On top of the Greg Capullo designer figures,
yes, which I have all of also. They're also
yes.
Like I don't even have room to display them now. Like they're all going in boxes. Like I come home and I'm like, time to rotate out. Well, the Justice League has to stay up, but who cares about Power Ring? You're gone.
It's so true. My wife's like, you spend so much money on toys and they just sit there because you don't play with them because you're a grown man.
Like, which one would you rather me do? Display them or play with them?
Right.
Yeah. No, I always use I could be addicted to drugs or I could be addicted to toys. Which
that's my argument too. This is a better spending expense. It's fine.
Right.
One day this may be worth a fortune, or we'll have a garage sale.
But then I like that. It doesn't work that way anymore. You can't be like.
I also use the excuses where I'm like, it's my job, so I can write it off at the end of the year. It's a review piece. It's good. It's fine.
I do that too. It's a review piece. I'm good. We get the statues under that pretense.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you guys something because I just got. Well, I'm going to get my first complete series in Death of Wolverine in single issues. That is my first single issue collection.
Nice.
Let us all, hold on, before we go on, let us all just do a round of applause for Dave for buying single issues and not buying the omnibus.
Just because I'm sure you don't watch us weekly because we're just that little nobodies on YouTube's corner.
Yeah.
What you don't know about Dave is that.
About yourself. Lift yourself up.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I like my little corner. In my little corner, I can do what I want. No one bothers me. So, but Dave buys the omnibuses normally, which makes it hard to talk current comics when we're waiting 6 months for Dave to get the omnibus.
It's like, well, let me tell you what happened in 1972, man. It was awesome.
He pulls it out.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Exactly.
So, by my research on Batman Nightfall.
So
before we move over to Death of Wolverine, because we were going to discuss that today, though, I do want to get Aris's opinion on, because you brought it up, the Crisis. They're talking about another one in March.
Yes.
Now, do you think that this Crisis is just going to be a crisis and we're just going to get New 52 on track? Or do you think that all the rumors are true and we're abandoning New 52 and going pre-New 52 again?
Okay, this is actually a topic I want to talk about, so I'm glad that you asked me. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right, so like you said, the rumors are basically like, they're abandoned ship, we're going to go back to pre-52, back to the original continuity. Which would mean, if they're going to do that, if you really look at it, meaning all the costume changes, Superman's getting his underwear back, everything is going to be retconned. So, as a business standpoint, DC probably, most definitely, at least spent at least $1 billion, maybe a couple $1 billion. It's been like three years in. They've made New 52 action figures, statues. this
The
month.
animated
Like,
series is following it now.
Yeah, just the promotions alone at all the cons, like everything,
and the boom in their business that New 52 did in 2011, and that was huge.
Exactly. So purely from that, like judging from that, I don't think it would be smart of them, or just as coming from a business point of view, I would say there's no way they're doing that, because you would have established so much new readership and fan base, only to 3 years later be like, F you, we're going back to the guys we originally had. Right. Because then at that point, because there's another theory I heard where they're like, okay, but they brought everyone on to New 52, so if they go back to the original one, they'll understand it more because they're current with the New 52, so it'll kind of, kind of make sense. That's what I've heard. I'm not saying this is my this is what I've heard.
That will confuse the crap out of everybody.
Right.
Now, I have heard that it's going to be that they might do both, and they might move New 52 into an Ultimate line. That, like, they would keep the New 52 going, but drop probably, like, 85% of the titles, and just run New 52 Batman, New 52 Superman, New 52 Wonder Woman, and just...
I've heard that, too.
...in another tangent.
I've heard that they're going to do New 52 as, like, an Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
And I could see that being, like, a valid thing, and we just keep the ones that are popular. Because, I mean... Aris, you go shopping in a comic store. If you go to the New 52 rack, like half of those don't even sell, except for like some niche crowd that wants to read whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many bizarre books on that rack right now that don't.
The amount of cancellations the New 52 has had is insane. I mean, they're still doing new titles and stuff. What we got? They're revamping Deathstroke again, Suicide Squad again, Teen Titans has got revamped again. Justice League United got booted a long time ago. Animal Man, I go on and on, right? But so it's just like all the A-listers, and the only reason why Action Comics is still around, I'm gonna be blunt here, is because it's Action Comics.
Yeah.
It's Action Comics.
Everyone knows it. Yeah.
It's like you can't get rid of Action Comics. It's like it's Action freaking Comics.
It's the first
one.
one.
It's just like Detective Comics. Out of all of my Batman reads, I don't like Detective the most. I like every other one. Detective is the one that gives me the biggest. I've tried
like Icarus. Icarus was good. I like that. The Icarus storyline from Detective Comics, just like that was the last 5-issue series that just happened.
But we got so many issues that led up to Icarus before it got any good, and I'm expecting it to drop back off again. It's the same thing. They're never going to get rid of Detective, even if they did anything to it, it would just be Detective Comics, whatever.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, those are. It's kind of like it's bringing me back to Marvel now. Like when they canceled the Amazing Spider-Man, everyone was like, "Oh my God, Aris! Yeah, what are your opinions on Amazing Spider-Man?" They canceled. I'm like. They didn't cancel anything. They may have told you they canceled it. They've just brought it off the shelf for a year only to bring it back. What's funny is I even did it in an episode where I was like, mark my words, guys. They're going to bring Peter Parker back and the Amazing Spider-Man back right before the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah. No joke. That Wednesday, before the Friday, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out. Lo and behold, Amazing Spider-Man 1 with Peter Parker back as Spider-Man.
And who was the villain of that arc?
I wonder.
Freaking Electro.
Oh, Electro. That was it. Yeah, Lizard was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what I find funny about that? Because I was really enjoying Superior Spider-Man, and I felt like the last couple of issues just kind of got sandwiched to fit the timeline for the movie. That could have easily stretched out a little. Like Goblin Nation just got totally squashed to make it fit into the timeline they needed.
So like Norman Osborn took over the whole city in 2.5 issues.
Yeah, like
he just spray painted a bridge, and he's like, "I took over. It's mine." I'm like, "Really? That's all it takes, huh?" Like, I don't know.
The Avengers ignored the fact that it said Goblin Nation on the bridge.
Yeah.
But bringing it back to what you're saying, where I think they're going to cancel the New 52 or revert it, retcon it, whatever you want to call it. My answer would be no. I don't think it'd be smart of them. And even if they were to divvy it up, where it's like the Ultimate Universe, I still think there would just be an uproar, and then you have people divided, and then it's like. I don't know. And then imagine how crowded the racks would be at the comic shops, too. And a lot of comic shops are already small enough as it is.
If they divide it, what I see them doing with the division would be bring back a few of the original titles, and that's it.
Yeah.
A few core ones, maybe the original Justice League, the original Batman, original Superman, just enough to appease the people who are like, oh, I'm never reading DC while it's New 52. Waiting for it to go back. Just those, and leave the New 52 for mostly what it is.
If they... I'd like to see the metrics on how much new readership came in as a result of the New 52 and how much actually stayed. Like, sure, they got a big boost in 2011, but I'm wondering, like, how much of that actually dropped off and how many, like, new readers, which is to say, like, how many non-comic book readers came in and started reading the book. Because, like, I would argue, like, a majority of New 52 readers today who are buying New 52 books probably read pre-New 52 books as well. Like, So I feel like if you did the changeover, I don't think that the loss would be as significant as all that, but I think you piss off a lot of people. Like, I think a lot of people would be really pissed because they'd be told, basically, yeah, we brought you in, we're giving you a new continuity, you were on the ground floor, and it's irrelevant.
I mean, the reason I'm stuck with, even on the lull points with the new 52, is because I like the fact that I am in the new continuity. I can follow. I don't have to go grab, we're referencing something from 1978. Let me go get that old book now and go look at what happened in 1978.
Yeah.
I agree with you, like, 100%. I think it's just so much... I am a firm believer with every generation, every 20 years, whatever you want to call it, you kind of do have to revamp because it's a whole new fan base. Like, it's like, you know, you're reading when you're comics when you're 8 years old, 20 years later, you're now 28 years old. Now you want to get that new generation. So it's like you kind of have to, because how are you going to be expected to go back, you know, to like 1950 and get that omnibus out and be like, oh, what? I don't know what the heck they're talking about. When did that happen? You know, when was Wonder Woman able to fly and now she doesn't have an invisible jet anymore? Like, when did that happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
when did she get pants and then not get pants?
Well, like here's a problem that you run into though when you're talking about like bringing back characters, when you're talking about revamping characters. All right, so you're familiar with the fact that Axis is coming out, if it hasn't come out already.
With what?
Axis, the storyline that takes place after Original Sin. It's Marvel's new upcoming event. Right. So for the longest time, Marvel's had some character who's been like shrouded by mystery and in the shadows, and nobody knows who it is, and people were like, "Who in the world is this guy that Marvel's bringing back?" And it turns out to be Dr. Voodoo. All right, Dr. Voodoo was a stupid character. He was this crappy, like, sorcerer.
Brother Voodoo,
yeah. He was like this crappy version of like Doctor Strange. Like when Doctor Strange lost his powers from the
he didn't even lose his powers. He just quit.
Well, no, I thought he lost his. Like, I thought the Vishanti took his powers away.
No,
because he refused to fight on their behalf.
It was actually weaker than that. He just quit.
Oh, okay.
Like, he was like, "I'm not worthy to be the Social Supreme anymore. I'm out."
Well,
I'm out.
You have Brother Voodoo who showed up and took over, and the problem is like they're bringing him back in Axis, but unless you went back and like read those old issues,
you don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is. You're just like, who's this witch doctor that's doing that? Like that's the new Sorcerer Supreme. What is going on here? They don't understand what's happening, and that's the weird thing that you run into is because a lot of people like the idea of seeing new characters. A lot of people like seeing old characters make a return, but you have to do it in a way to where it makes sense to people. It has to be done in a way to where you can have anybody walk into a comic book store, look at a comic, and one, it immediately grabs their attention, like, well, this sounds interesting, and two, like, it'll keep them coming back after they've read it. And I'll be honest, Len Wein, or whatever his name is, the guy that made Brother Voodoo, made Wolverine, all that kind of stuff, he's made some great characters in the past, but Brother Voodoo was not one of them. And he was not the slightest bit interesting. Like I was looking for like some awesome reveal. You know, I was looking for some really cool reveal. You know, in the whole thing. We already know Adam Warlock's back, so that doesn't really matter. But I was thinking maybe some cool villain later on is going to make a return. And I'm like, so we've got like this guy that no one cares about coming back to the comics. It's like when the Orb showed up in Original Sin. Yeah. It's like no one cares.
Yeah.
Like, this guy
Stop trying to make the Orb happen.
To go in line with that, what I think Marvel may be doing with all of these random guys that no one cares about showing back up is that seems to be like their new trend, like the hipster kind of thing to do with comics, because they're doing it like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That, which you didn't watch it, but the guy that they just revealed, Aris, is Absorbing Man. Yeah, he pops up occasionally, but whoop-de-doo, you know? And they're going to bring in Mockingbird, and and they just did the Orb, and it's almost like they're like, let's just bring back every old guy that no one knew about, see if any of them catch on, and if they do, movie.
Right.
Well, you actually, I was just, while you were saying that, I was like, well, I heard a while back that, you know, because with Marvel Studios, they essentially sold a lot of their A-list characters, right? Yeah. So, like, they don't have the rights to Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. X-Men. I think Daredevil just got reverted back. You guys might know, right?
They're making
because it's Netflix and all that.
Yeah, they're making the Marvels.
Punisher they own again, too, and they own Ghost Rider again, also.
Right.
They got those
But,
back.
like, with Guardians of the Galaxy, what a lot of people don't realize, unless, you know a lot about or have been reading comic books for years like we have, the Guardians of the Galaxy is like a D-list team. Like they are not an A-list.
They're nobody.
So it's like Marvel's.
They're a niche in a niche.
Yeah.
They're like scraping bottom of the barrel now because they're like, okay, Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk. Okay, those are like the only A-listers we got. So what do we got next? Guardians of the Galaxy. Can we make them cool? Yes, it's like our version of Star Wars. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, and
let's do it.
For them, it was like low risk because it was like either we have a hit and we've created a franchise out of nothing, or it fails and who gives a shit? It's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
They're doing that
money.
also,
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing with the TV shows. I'm pretty sure I'm the only guy that watches it, but Ultimate Spider-Man, the TV show, has been doing a major push by always putting Nova on the team.
Yeah.
Nova's everywhere. Nova. And Nova is conveniently a 16-year-old kid just with Spider-Man dealing with all of the same issues. Oh, and look, now Nova's got his own comic book, and now he's with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and like, I remember reading somewhere that they're trying to use Nova to replace Spider-Man, and they're trying to use the Inhumans to replace X-Men. Because, that's what's pretty much going on in the TV show. They just found the Terrigen Crystal.
Right.
Well,
so
that's
another rumored movie, The Inhumans, which is, yet again, like a non-known,
Yep.
we know about it, but the average Joe isn't going to know about Inhumans.
Yeah.
No.
I wrote this big article on Movie Pilot where I was just like if you guys have been watching, if you guys saw episode 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then you're probably wondering what that obelisk is, so I just did this explanation. The Kree, the Inhumans, and the Terrigen Crystal and Terrigen Mist. And I was like, that's what all this stuff is. And so, like, looking at the way things are laying out, it looks like Coulson will probably become Captain Marvel, that the thing is the Terrigen Crystal, and it'll probably lead to either, like, it encases the Terrigen Mist, or it has a Terrigen Crystal, and it'll lead to the Inhumans showing up. And so, like, that's kind of the thing that you have with Marvel, and I think that's why to this day I'm sure if anybody regrets the fact that the rights of the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man and X-Men were sold off, it's Marvel. Because when you say like Guardians of the Galaxy, like people look at Guardians of the Galaxy and they say, wow, Peter Quill, and that's a really, really cool thing. But for us, we're thinking like Steve Gerber's Korvac saga from like, the Guardians of the Galaxy in the 31st century and traveling into the past to fight to help the Avengers fight off Korvac. Like that to us is when you think of Guardians of the Galaxy, but then you also think of this current version. And so people see the movie and that's all they see when they see Guardians of the Galaxy. They see Ron and the Accuser as like some screwed up role as opposed to what he's supposed to be in the comics. And then, like we look at that and we say, well, that's not really Guardians of the Galaxy. But the biggest thing that I'm afraid of here is that, one, that of course with Marvel bringing back Richard Rider, that they're going to pigeonhole him. That they're going to say, well, Sam Alexander is Nova now. Like, he is the Nova. And who cares if Richard Rider is coming back? And they're just going to send him off to the Ultimate Universe, which is like where they send anybody and they don't want to do anything. That's what happens, man. I guarantee.
They just did that to the all-new X-Men.
They did that. That's what they're going to do. Here's what happens.
Figured if we've ran out of ideas, go to the Ultimate Universe.
Exactly, dude. Like, if...
it's a punishment. You've been exiled.
It's sending them to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
No.
Like, when the female Thor comics come out, like, once they actually, like, start really producing. And if the comics are total flops, if people are like, we don't care about this female version of Thor, then they're going to simply say, okay, fine, we're going to do some Beta Ray Bill, Stormbreaker magic, and then they're going to send her off to the Ultimate Universe. And Thor's going to get he's going to get his hammer back. That's exactly what's going to happen. It always does. And that's what's disappointing.
If she does well.
If she does well,
she's gonna get her own series. They're gonna make her like, because Thor's gonna be Thor again.
Thor,
no doubt.
Yeah,
she will be like Thorette or like Thor's sidekick of some sorts. Yeah.
I would prefer She-Thor over Thorette if we have to pick one of those. Hopefully she gets her own name.
I don't know, Smurfette, Thorette.
I mean, I'm excited to see what would happen. I mean, Thor's cool, but I mean, it is about time for a change. I mean, you can only have the same characters in comics for like so long before people say, okay, let's start moving towards some new stuff. And I think Marvel's doing
Marvel.
Do what?
Well, why don't they just reboot Marvel?
Well, Marvel now.
Well,
I mean, they've kind of done that.
It's not the same thing.
It's not New 52. I agree.
No, I mean New 52 Marvel. Why don't they just do that?
So, well, they've already kind of said it's been implied.
I'm saying that's a wrestle, Rob.
I mean,
no, I'm serious. That's been in their
really
model.
upset.
Marvel's leading to its own crisis. Thanks to Infinity, Age of Ultron, traveling back and forth through time, snapping everything. Other people from other dimensions, like all new X-Men, just popping up randomly. They're really discussing the rumor mill is because of everything that Wolverine has done and the messing with the timeline, we're leading to a Marvel crisis.
Yeah.
Well,
another crisis.
Don't worry, Aris. You didn't get the DC one, but Marvel's just going to give it to you.
I mean, if Marvel does a crisis, then what do you do? Like we already know, like with the way the Marvel Cinematic Universe is moving in the direction where you've got like Chris Hemsworth who's ready to go, like he's ready to be done. You've got Robert Downey Jr. who's ready to be done. Yeah, and then Chris Evans. Chris Hemsworth said he was ready to be done, and Chris Evans said he's ready to be done. Yeah, I thought Chris Hemsworth said that he was ready to stop playing Thor and move on.
That sucks.
I haven't heard
there was an article that came out that said Robert Downey Jr. was hinting at staying in the role of Iron Man.
But he hasn't come out and said, honestly, like, I want to keep playing the role of Iron Man.
Iron Man would be the easiest. Robert Downey Jr. could stay Iron Man for the next 20 years easily if all they did was just superimpose his face on the armor. And look, now he's just Iron Man 24/7. Problem solved.
I did hear Chris Evans is ready to give up after, I guess, the third Avengers, which then the rumors come in, which is like, wait, so we're going to pull a Winter Soldier here, and then Bucky's going to become Captain America, or wait, now Falcon's in the universe. Is Falcon going to be Captain America because the comics?
Everyone's more popular, they'll do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Falcon undertook that role, because the problem you have with Bucky Barnes is they introduced him as a villain in the Winter Soldier, in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and then all you know is what you learned of Bucky Barnes in Captain America 1 and what they filled in between Captain America 1 and the Winter Soldier. Like, no one out there identifies with Bucky Barnes.
No.
Like, nobody's rooting for Bucky Barnes that are watching these movies. They're just like, hey, he was a cool villain, and he was a really good fighter, and he did that really cool thing with the knife, and that was interesting. You know. But that's it.
They gotta have some movie to put it into context that he could be Captain America.
Yeah.
Which could be this third Captain America. They could go in that direction. Like, if that's what they want, that whole movie could be leading up to, like, you like him, you want him to be Captain America. You know, third act, boom, Captain America.
Well, I mean, we had like a 2-second scene where he held the shield, and the internet freaked out. He's the new Captain America.
I caught that. I was at the midnight showing watching that, and like I guess maybe he throws a shield at him or something, and he catches it and holds it up for a second, and people were like, yeah.
I didn't know so many Bucky fans.
What do you guys think of maybe the third Avengers movie actually being a third and fourth Avengers movie?
I thought it was a second and third Avengers movie. But either way, splitting one of them into 2 movies like Deathly Hallows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, you go.
So what I was thinking is maybe in the third movie, he could actually die at the end, and then the fourth movie, Bucky could take over.
Yeah.
Something like that. But like you guys were saying, like the second Avengers movie or the third Captain America movie would not be an appropriate time for him to just take over for the whole movie.
The fact that they're thinking about splitting the third Avengers movie into 2 films says a lot of stuff. Says a lot of under the radar stuff. One, whatever happens to that movie is going to be big. It's going to be absolutely massive. That's why I'm saying Infinity Gauntlet. And 2, oh come on!
All this says is that they want money. That's all that says.
Well, no, but the story.
I agree with both of you.
I mean, the story is going to be big enough that you're going to be talking about like a huge event that's going to take a couple movies to do, because we know that they can pack a ton of stuff in to a 2.5-hour film. They've done it before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not uncommon, but the fact is that we're going to be seeing 2 movies. So I'm saying Infinity Gauntlet. Hopefully, some Adam Warlock involvement. We'll see what happens. But regardless of what happens, most likely, I think that what you're going to see is like Aris was saying, like this idea of some of these legacy characters may come back. But I think that what you're also going to see is like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is moving in the direction of like killing these characters off. If Chris Hemsworth doesn't want to come back as Thor, they're not going to do Thor. If Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to do Iron Man, if Chris Evans doesn't want to do Captain America, then I think you're going to start seeing these characters just go away entirely in the Marvel comics, because otherwise you're going to have people who are going out and buying comics for characters that aren't referenced in the movie, and they're not going to know, they're going to be confused. And so Marvel wants to push both things in a profit-driving direction. And so if you have actors that are playing these major characters leaving, then why not move the comics in a direction where these characters just aren't going to be there anymore? So Thor's gone, Captain America's gone, Iron Man's gone, so on. But I don't know. I mean, it's weird. No one knows what's going on except at Marvel, so I have no idea.
Well, they don't secretly work for Marvel, do you, Aris? Just back behind the scenes?
Maybe.
As he wears the Batman Beyond hat.
Exactly.
It's to throw you guys off, throw you off.
He's undercover. He's undercover. Double agent.
Right. No, I definitely agree. Like, all their movies and comic books always, because every time you know, it's like, the Nolan trilogy for Batman. We got the Tumbler. What does the Batmobile look like in the Batman comics now? Like the Tumbler.
Oh, the Tumbler. Yeah.
What does Peter Quill look like in Guardians of the Galaxy in the comics now? With the trench coat and everything, just like the movie.
Which looks much better.
Oh, they changed the whole thing. Like the what was it? One of the issues of Guardians of the Galaxy that was solicited, they like changed his outfit to be this more like very blue, like streamlined spacesuit.
Yeah.
And then the movie like started to trend well in the with all their teaser images, and so they immediately just scrapped it and then said put him in a red trench coat and just change the whole thing. Like you can watch the transition where they were like, oh, it's trending well, throw it away. Just like I can imagine, like if people like if they
we
like
had that goofy helmet before.
Yeah,
helmet
yeah, this weird like biker helmet, like. And I don't mean like biker, I mean like a biker, like ching ching, like
wasn't it like a red like V-shaped visor or something on this big chunky blue helmet that had all these holes and things in it.
It was weird.
Yeah.
That's like the Flash TV show. If that trends well, all that stuff is going to get shoehorned right into the comic.
I hope that doesn't happen because I'm not a fan of this.
No.
I originally, I think I even said it. I was like, yeah, okay, I kind of like it. But then the more as time went on, I'm like, I want to redact my words because no.
I don't remember who the actress is who plays Iris, but she is so horrible.
I agree with you on that. I don't like the casting choices they've made for a lot of the stuff in that show, but I'm going into this Flash because I'm an enormous Flash fan long before this was even announced. So I want to like it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to ignore every Flash fact that I actually know. We're just going to relearn everything as CW wants to tell me. That's the only way I can enjoy this. It's the only way.
Did you not enjoy the pilot? Which is funny because we're not even supposed to have seen the pilot.
No,
so.
no, I love it. It was leaked and then it was left there, and like everyone knew, especially Warner Brothers.
I liked it for what it was. If you try to compare it, the fact that Barry Allen's really young, the fact that he doesn't look anything like Barry Allen, the fact that the West family is now a police department, and by the way, they're all going to help him out. And the origin story now has more to do with the lightning bolt. Oh, and Reverse Flash is here at when he got made. We're gonna just shoehorn all that into there, and we're gonna go ahead and hint at a crisis. And I'm like, oh boy, this could be so good, but it probably won't be.
I just realized you're wearing a Flash shirt.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the pilot episode, but it's funny because like I watch these things with like, I guess a grain of salt or whatever you guess you say, because like I don't expect these like CW TV shows or Gotham or anything. Like I don't expect it to be a Game of Thrones, a House of Cards, a Breaking Bad. Like if you think it's gonna be on that level, you're crazy.
You're deluding yourself. They're not gonna make that kind of show.
Okay, no, but like in the defense of fans, are like when Fox comes out and says like we're making a drama, you expect to see. I mean, Fox has great shows under their belt. You got like House, for example, an awesome TV show, a really really good drama. If Fox says we're producing, like we're making a show, like I expect Fox budget money to go into the production of that show. Gotham, although episode 2 was a lot better than episode 1, was let down in terms of what I thought it was going to be, like how I thought it was going to cross. I thought it was going to be a high quality, really good dark drama, and instead, like it's like something that I would expect to see on the CW. It was kind of like.
From what we've gathered, you liked it, right? You liked it, Aris? The Gotham episode 1.
Yes, but like I said, I go in with that point of view because like what Robert was saying, you know, he expected like it to be like really dark and gritty, but it's like all of these shows like Smallville, Arrow, Flash, now Gotham, then Constantine, what they're talking about, a Supergirl show I think now. They're all the same type of thing where it's like you have to know it's a little cheesy or you're not going to enjoy it. So it's like you have to go into it knowing yes, it's not going to be like I said like this high quality budget where you know. HBO where they're throwing like $1 million an episode. It's like I don't know. So I enjoy it for what they are. Like they're fun and stuff, but I don't expect it to be. I would like it to be like of that quality, like you know, a blockbuster film or like a Breaking Bad. But they're not, and it's like once you realize that, I think it's easier to enjoy it, and you're just like, oh yeah, there's a reference to the Joker. Oh, there's a reference to you know Zoom or whatever. So it's like I just enjoy it for what it is, and it's like it's fun. I guess it's not like.
Yeah,
I do that with Arrow, and I'm doing that with Flash. It's kind of okay. Accept it for what it is. Don't try to compare it to everything we know. Just take it for a grain of salt. But the problem I had with Gotham is I felt like they tried to please too many fans at once, and we got a show that just fell in the middle ground. There was the comic book references were stuff that made me go, oh, I get that, but I don't care about a little girl Poison Ivy. I don't care about how Penguin got the limp. You know, like I don't care about that stuff. And then the cop stuff, I felt like they grazed over, making it less of a cop drama. But I mean, that's just my opinion on it.
No, I totally agree with you because all those gripes are the gripes I said in my one-shot episode review of it. Like I think they tried to do too much fan service in a sense. In one episode where, you know, the comedian, they're like, oh, that could be the Joker, or there's, you know, little Poison Ivy, and here's, you know, Catwoman, and there's the Riddler. He's at, you know, Gotham PD now. So, like, they just did a lot. I think it was just like, look, guys, we're gonna hit the Riddler. Look, guys, we're gonna show Catwoman. Look, guys, we're gonna show this. That way, stay. It's like we're gonna get to these people. Just stay and watch every week.
It's like the show is called Gotham. Like, we know they're gonna be there. Like, you can do 1 or 2 villains. You don't have to show the whole gamut. Like, we get it.
Well, they showed Catwoman, Selena. Like, she literally didn't say a word that whole first episode.
But she did do a lot of this.
She was like, yeah, like, I'm Catwoman. Check me out.
Look, I'm feeding milk to cats.
But see, like here was the thing. This is why, like, I really liked Aris's video on Gotham, because I agree with that idea that they could simply just space it out, like just have a little girl Poison Ivy appear. Like the issue that I had with like episode 2, for example, is they were like really building on her character. Like, you had those 2 people, which I don't know if those are like reflections of people that exist in DC Comics, but you had those 2 people that were going around and like kidnapping people, you know. And
the second episode is great because it focused, and that was what I said about the second. I was like, I felt like the second episode had a focus. We're focused on this one villain and trying to track down this one case, and we're just really gonna follow Selena Kyle. We're not gonna do 1,001 cameos. You know, I felt the second episode was really strong.
Yeah,
no, I agree with that too.
That's what I liked about it is after seeing the first episode and say, okay, like, it's not what I expected, but I guess this is how the show's going to be. Then, like, going into the second episode, it's like, okay, you know, I mean, there were some parts that were kind of silly where Jada Pinkett Smith like stands up and yells for everybody to get out of the restaurant. I was kind of like, okay, it felt like a spinoff of God, what was that movie? Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, where like he taps his glass and everybody gets up and leaves. Like it felt like, you know, like the writer was kind of like, let's do a variation of that. But, you know, after seeing how the show is gonna be, like seeing how it is that it's gonna be produced, I wouldn't go as far as to say that I'm a huge fan of it now. But a lot of that I think is due to the fact that I just don't read DC Comics that much. But I would say that it'd be something that I would tune in, you know, periodically or catch up on at the end of the week. You know.
Yeah, I think how they did like you guys were saying, how the second episode was a lot better in the sense where they kind of try to focus on one thing, or, you know, you could even do 2, maybe 3, you know, depending, have little subplots. But I like how the main focus was like, you know, who were kidnapping these kids, and then spoiler alert for anyone, they referenced the doll maker, which was really cool. I was like, see, that's like a perfect hit where you don't see the villain, you just the name drop, and then, you know, if you read the comics, you know, you're like, oh, doll maker, and if you don't, then in future episodes you'll find out. And like stuff like that.
I also like that choice because like Dollmaker is a great villain for that show, as opposed to like trying to have the Riddler in there. Like, it just feels like
that'd be so awkward.
What killed the dinosaurs?
Everybody chill.
Why do we all
can't deal with this guy?
Schwarzenegger when that happens? Everyone jumps to his lines.
I mean, he had the best lines.
Great character. No, but he's the great character in the comics. But every time you bring him up, nobody references the great and epic storylines. Like Batman Annual from like 2 years ago, that was great explaining Mr. Freeze. No, we all go, but what caused the dinosaurs to die?
Because Arnold was so good, but it was bad.
Yeah.
Or flip it. It was so bad.
Arnold wasn't that bad. Like, he had like the most cliche one-liners ever. But I mean, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Name me an Arnold Schwarzenegger film you've seen where he hasn't had like a film full of one-liners.
Junior.
No.
Okay, that film was
the baby.
That film was terrible anyway. That film doesn't count. There was no movie called Junior.
No, there was. It was the one with Danny DeVito.
No, there was no movie called Junior.
Danny DeVito was his wife, and they had a baby, and it looked like a little Arnold.
That movie does not exist.
The problem with Arnold Schwarzenegger is I love Arnold Schwarzenegger like as much as the next guy. He's a great action star. I enjoy his movies. They're fun. But the problem is, we all can admit he's not a good actor. We like him just because he's likable. Yep. He's a good action star. He's got a cool look. So we like him for that. Not because he's freaking, you know, Tom Cruise over here giving out, or like Philip Seymour Hoffman giving out like this awesome monologue. No one knows him for his monologues. They just know him for like his cool action movies. So like, yeah, Batman and Robin was still a popcorn comic book movie, but at the same time, it was just like a little too Adam Westy in the sense where we didn't, you know, that was the era where we didn't want that anymore. We were in like, we want the cool, dark Batman now, not the campy Batman, and it didn't work.
That's so weird. It's like we were rescued from campy Batman by those movies. Like, Burton made Batman and Batman Returns, which are so not in that direction, and then they were like, and let's go back to that direction. Like, we just got out of there. You just want to put us back in the hole. Like,
by the way, Batman's always going to be cold. That's just Gotham is a cold place. Mr. Freeze in it.
Everyone has to have
Nipples.
coats.
Let's do this.
And the Bat credit card just makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't Batman make his own credit card?
Oh
Right?
God! Wasn't that like a commercial? Like a George Clooney?
No, it was in the movie.
It was a commercial for the credit card, and it was in the movie.
Right,
it was cut directly from the movie. They made like an extended scene just for the commercial, and then it was in the movie. Where wasn't he in like some sort of party or something?
Yeah, they're
Poison Ivy hypnotizes them both, Robin and Batman, and they're competing over who can get her better.
Yeah.
And Robin's all like, I can go on adventures, and he's like, I got money. And then at the end of the whole thing, he's like, I win, Bat credit card.
Yeah, they like outbid each other. It's
but see, like those movies, I know that like even from a person that doesn't read DC that much, like those movies were bad, but like they're fun to watch too. Like they're just they're fun to just like zone out to. Like if you've had a stressful day, they're fun to just like zone out and watch. And so they weren't like that terrible per se. But for me, like, you know, again, I think that the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, in my opinion, were probably the best Batman movies that have been made to date.
Yeah.
Like I love those movies. But see, like so here's my question. Where does that Christopher Nolan Batman stand? Like how does he compare to like Batman in the DC comics? Like at the point in time when those movies came out?
You mean like are the
we
movies as
that
good as the
Nolan
books? Like
Are you talking about
like how does he compare? Like is he the same way, or is he just like a much darker character in the comics? Or
in the comics, he's more intelligent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And also, it makes a difference if you're talking about Batman in Justice League or Batman in his own solo series.
Right.
Because Batman in Justice League, they scale up his powers and his intellect to match up with Superman.
He's already smart, but now he's really smart.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make the argument here, and like I don't want to make any listeners or whatever mad, so I'm gonna start with I love the Nolan trilogy. I really do. The Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies in general, not even just comic book movies, right? I like the trilogy. I think Rises was the weakest, but I still enjoyed it, right? Anyway,
fair enough.
In saying that, I do think there has not been an actual Batman movie made. Now, I say this in the sense, like, because all the Batmans we've gotten in the movies aren't really that close to how he is in the comic books.
No.
Because Nolan was really all about the realistic, so we can't do this. And, like, even like you were saying, he's not as intelligent, and he's just, nothing about him was detective-y or really Batman-y. We didn't get any of those shots where,
Didn't we have like a 15
minutes? Fight like a gorilla, where he's just like all boxy and it's like, when he knows like over 100 forms of martial arts. So it's like, why are you fighting like you're a robot? Like I don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, and, I mean, we even had like a 15-minute scene where they were going over with a doctor about how much being Batman's taken a toll on him, and only the 5 years he did it or something crazy.
Yeah.
Which means he can never be Batman for more than like a couple of years, or else his whole body will deteriorate.
Right.
I will suggest, and I said this before the Nolan trilogy, and I'll say it even after the Nolan trilogy. For me, the best Batman movie, like the most appropriate Batman, has never been live action, but it's Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh yes,
yes,
sir.
Yeah,
it's almost a cop out. It's almost a cop out because the cartoon was is for some the most definitive version of Batman, and number two, it's the most appropriate,
right?
Version of Batman where it's like he's intelligent, but he's also his Bruce Wayne Batman balance is perfect, and he's also like
110%.
Yeah,
but
like
the Batman the Animated Series, just in general, anything from the Bruce Timbers.
Yep.
Like I'm fanboy.
That was where I learned all my stuff about Batman. Was in Batman the Animated Series. Like that's where my knowledge of Batman comes from.
Great.
No, me too. Because I was like 8 years old when that stuff came out. So that's like before. Because when you're little, I like reading comic books, but when you're little, you still don't like reading that much. I mean,
you want to watch.
You want to watch. You're like,
what's the worst of this?
Batman, but yeah, exactly. So like, I'd come home from school and it would just be they would do the block where it's like 2 in a row, or then it's Power Rangers, then Batman, and like Beetleborgs and all that stuff. So it's like
childhood is coming out.
Yeah, but it's on television right now, so I'll watch
nostalgia tripping right here.
Oh my god!
The greatest thing ever is when Batman went over to Justice League Unlimited. I liked the Justice League show where it carried over Like it was the first time you ever saw continuity.
Yeah.
They're like Superman to Batman or Batman to Superman. Oh, and now we're gonna Justice League it up and.
Yep. That was great. That Justice League, like the first series, and then when they did Unlimited, and we were like, oh man, they're gonna up the ante and throw the whole damn DC toy box onto the table. Like that was
awesome.
Great.
I liked every episode except for Green Arrow, because every time they tried to
Green Arrow in that book. He was not in that show.
Unlimited, because in that whole thing, Green Arrow is such a weird superhero that he's only good in select situations.
Yeah.
And then they keep trying to shoehorn him into everything else.
Well, I liked every portrayal in that show. I think everyone nailed it. They did an episode with like the Two Gun Kid and like Shining Knight. Like
yes,
it was fun to watch.
Didn't they do an episode where Batman time traveled back into the Old West, and they did that one like cowboy character that has the scarred up face?
Oh yeah, Jonah Hex.
I forget his name right now. Jonah Hex. Yeah.
That was in Batman New Adventures, though, right? That was in the Batman animated series.
That was Batman. That was Justice League Unlimited, because the two-parter, throwing it out to your hat, is the second part. They go to the Batman Beyond future.
Right. Yes.
It's awesome.
Well, we all know, like I think it was the end of Justice League Unlimited or end of Justice League, where the last episode of that season was where it throws back to how Batman Beyond got created.
Yeah.
Which, now if you're reading Batman Beyond Universe or Batman 2.0, Batman Beyond 2.0,
right.
Recently they just did a 3-issue story arc where it goes into more detail and explains everything about that, which
that's cool.
Was awesome. Kyle Higgins is doing great on that. He's making my little kid be like jump with glee.
See, now I haven't picked up that title because like there have been a couple of different incarnations of Batman Beyond, and like I don't know which ones were done like in the style of the show but weren't following the continuity. So like if Batman Beyond 2.0 is in the continuity of the show, I'm gonna pick that up.
No, it is. It's all he basically all it is he picked up where Batman Beyond the show left off.
That's awesome.
So he's continuing the cartoon series through a comic book.
That's so cool.
That Batman Beyond animated feature, Return to the Joker.
Yes.
That is another good animated feature from the DCAU.
Yeah.
That's one of my top 5 favorites.
It's so great.
Is the Justice League Beyond? Is that tied into that whole same timeline right now?
Yes. Yeah, it's also from, because you know how the Justice League Beyond was in Batman Beyond and Justice League Unlimited.
Yep.
When that time traveling episode. So it picks up from the cartoon. So he basically is taking over for Bruce Timm, essentially.
Yeah. Exactly.
And now, just real quick for my timeline sake on DC, the Beyond universe is between the Justice League 3000 universe, which is now so far in the future we've lost every superhero.
Technically, I guess.
They're all in line. They're all connected.
So when I was younger, I used to watch Superman the Animated Series, which was really fun. Good. And there was one episode of that, I think, where somehow he was time displaced. I can't remember. Maybe he ended up in the future. But there was some guy named like Savage or something like that.
Oh, that's a Justice League episode.
Yeah,
was that a Justice League episode?
It was Vandal Savage, and that's an amazing episode. That's the Death of Superman episode.
Yeah, like all the superheroes are gone or something like that. Like I think all life except for him.
He's like 10,000 years in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. There was actually my favorite one out of that I think it was actually an episode of Superman the Animated Series, is when time got screwed up and I don't know if he went to like another alternate reality or something like that, but it was one where Lois Lane had been killed. Yes. And he became like this really dark like enforcer for Lex Luthor. Yeah. And that was a really cool episode. Like I really enjoyed that one.
People knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they even explored some of the Elseworld stuff.
Yeah.
Then like I forgot about that.
Another thing, I just have to throw this out there because we're in a public forum, we have to talk about it, is Michael Ironside playing Darkseid. There will never be a better actor playing Darkseid than Michael Ironside.
Oh.
He played I guess he played the voice of him? Or?
He played the voice of Darkseid on Superman the Animated Series and Justice League, and then they made Superman Batman Apocalypse, and they didn't cast him, and it was like, why?
Okay. So one of the first major comics that I ever got involving Superman, I think my dad had bought it for me when I was a pre-teenager.
Yeah.
It was the death of Superman. It was when Doomsday. It was when Doomsday had showed up at I don't wherever it is, Metropolis, I think it was, and had like destroyed the Avengers. I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head the name of Superman's
I think
town.
Superman was in Metropolis. I'm not sure about this. Facts here.
Batman's in Metropolis.
Let me
and Superman's
fact
in
check
Gotham,
this. Hold on.
Right.
Yes, he was in Metropolis, and I checked.
Let me check my fact sheet.
And Doomsday trashed the crappiest Justice League of all time.
Yeah, he did like with one arm actually. Like he had one arm literally still like tied behind his back and destroyed that entire Justice League. And then like over the course of the comic, it's just like beating Superman to death.
Yep.
And it was one of the coolest comics that I ever read because it was like, oh my gosh, Superman's dead. I remember at the time the idea of like bringing characters back, of like retconning, was something I'd never thought of. So I was like, what are they gonna do?
They didn't either.
Superman's gone forever.
That was one of the
How are they gonna sell comics?
That's why they were like, there was a Time magazine article about it. Our Lady Peace wrote a song about it. Like it was a big cultural thing. Like nobody really expected that to happen. In fact, there's a funny story about the editors who were working on that story at the time. Like for a couple of years, they used to write like all their Superman plots up on a big like whiteboard, and one of them, and they would always rotate. Someone would erase, or not erase, but write over in like dry erase marker the end of the story, and then Superman dies. And they all had a good chuckle about it because they're like, "Well, you never kill Superman, ha ha ha." But then like they ran out of stories. And they were like, crap, what are we going to do? And then they were like, maybe we could kill him. Maybe we could do that joke we've been making for like the last 15 years. And then they just, went crazy with it.
There's actually, that story's on the behind the scenes of the Doomsday cartoon, right?
Yeah.
They made a movie? Yes. I remember seeing that.
That Doomsday one was cool. Like, didn't they like lobotomize him or something? Superman shot his laser beams through his head and like
through his eyes.
That Superman Doomsday cartoon was really weird. Like,
I mean, I thought it
was the first one.
It was the first one, yeah. And like Anne Heche plays Lois, and like I don't remember who played Lex, but it was some like really weird actor, and it was like they played it up where like Lex was like in love with Superman, and it's really weird.
Yeah,
it's really an odd choice, especially when you have the source material and they're like, "Nah, we'll just do this crazy thing.
We'll do what we want. This will be fun."
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was a cool story to read because, like, growing up again, I knew that Superman was like this indestructible man. Like, he just couldn't be killed by normal means, and so it was like, wow, like seeing him and Doomsday like just beat each other to death was just awesome.
Well, Dan Jurgens'
funny side note about that though, because if you saw the cover art, it was all black blood, and I remember reading that the reason it was all black blood is because they couldn't show blood.
Nope.
But blood is considered red, so if we make it black, we can cover everything.
Yeah, that's how they did it with Carnage as well. With Carnage's first appearance, everything was black blood.
The world was not ready for Carnage showing up in Mortal Kombat.
I would say that Carnage wasn't ready for the world like that.
Yeah, the world
Marvel
wasn't ready.
Still isn't ready for Carnage. His latest appearance was fighting Deadpool.
Yeah,
they're like, we don't know what to do with Carnage.
What can you do? Like, what do you do with a character? You got a symbiote which is just rabid and totally insane. Mm-hmm. Takes possession of a man who is also rabid and totally insane. Mm-hmm. And while they're both rabid and totally insane together, they go on killing sprees. Like, how do you make a comic like that? Yeah, how do you tell a story this good?
Well, what you do is you call it Maximum Carnage and make it
okay. So 14-part series. After the end of Maximum Carnage, what do you do after that?
Well, you make it star such tentpole characters as Deathlock and Iron Fist and Firestar and Cloak and Dagger and...
Somebody's got a little
and you put Sal Buscema on art, and you just make it a big pile of crap.
Yeah, all it was Carnage killing people, and then writing Carnage rules in blood, and then like it was like a 14-issue detective comic.
It was like they were predating the internet. Like Internet Troll gets a.
It was like Carnage rules.
Noobs.
Did you end up reading that one? Because you look, you have something you're trying to say here, and they're going off a total troll thing.
Well, I was gonna say, because they were saying like, how would you do Carnage, since I guess he isn't used too often, even though he's like one of, if not one of the most popular characters for like Marvel. Yeah. So it just makes no sense that they don't use him more often. So they're like, let's put him in a comic book with another one of our most popular characters, Deadpool. That's gonna really sell.
Yep. Which did not.
But he was based off of the Joker, which I think some people would know. Cleus Cassidy was, when they sorry, lost. I'm joking here. Anyway,
Take Two.
Yeah, right. Take Two. He was based off the Joker, so maybe if not full on copy that, you can't just mimic the Joker, but maybe if they do, they kind of push him to be more of Spider-Man's archenemy, kind of like closer to the Goblin, where he's just, Spider-Man's always forced to like stop whatever he's doing because he's killing people for no reason, just because he hates Spider-Man. So maybe try to mirror that in a sense, because they've openly admitted it. That's where they've
That's where they got
kind of copied off the Joker. Same thing with Deadpool and Deathstroke. Same thing. That was like a joke with the two of them. They're like, oh, Wade Wilson, Slade Wilson, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
So,
Like that? Well, we'll keep it going.
So maybe if they do something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with Carnage is he's so... It's almost like they do... Like, Spider-Man is too goody to go against Carnage, I think. Because I don't the latest actual substantial story with Carnage, because the Deadpool versus Carnage thing was not substantial at all. It was just Deadpool chasing Carnage. That's pretty much all it was.
Yeah.
Was Minimum Carnage, where Carnage got shrunk and went into the Microverse and fought against the Microverse people, the Micronauts and a lot of other crazy stuff.
God.
And even that, it was like they had Venom against him and Scarlet Spider, and both of those were kind of like, oh, we'll kill if we need to, you know? And even that just didn't make much sense.
I don't. That's why I say like for the most part, in Marvel Comics, you have characters that do like some crazy stuff. They do some outright stuff, and sometimes you got characters that are generally insane, such as the example of my favorite character, Mad Jim Jaspers. He's just totally crazy, totally insane.
Wait, hold on. Before we go anywhere, I need to know. For the record, Aris, he is our like obscure character guy. Do you know who Mad Jim Jaspers is?
You do not.
I do not.
Oh man, you're missing out. You're missing out,
See,
man.
no one knows who Mad Jim Jaspers is.
Know who that is.
Oh.
What about the Magus?
Yeah, the Magus. That's the alter ego of
That's not
Adam
obscure.
Warlock.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Well, did you guys hear that? I got a lightning storm over here, so I guess if my computer goes out, then that is why.
So you're not trying to escape from us?
I'm not trying to escape now.
Later on, guys. Peace.
Lightning.
I'm out.
Oh, dude, you're missing out, man. Mad Jim Jaspers was the guy that could warp reality, and they had to destroy his universe to keep his reality warping powers from spreading. But nonetheless,
is he kind of like Arm Fall Off Boy?
like what?
Arm Fall Off Boy?
I have no idea who that is.
Okay.
Obscure character versus obscure character. Resolution.
Yeah, I have no idea who
He
that
tried
is.
out for the Legion of Superheroes, and his power is that his arm can fall off, and he beats people with his arm. So.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
Mort of the month.
That's pretty awesome.
If we're gonna do like our own crazy obscure character Justice League, I'm going a dog wielder, so we'll do that. So that's the guy that welds dogs to dead people's faces.
Yes.
I think I've actually
Why?
heard that one.
Because he can.
One thing I did like though, when you were doing your video on like the top 10 worst superheroes, you talked about a guy who had the instinctive ability to drive any vehicle.
Yes, Razorback.
Which,
Yeah, awesome character.
like some of those characters, like some of those listings were nuts. But yeah, like you have characters that like some of them are totally out there and crazy. But like with Carnage, you just got like a crazy sadistic guy, like that just kills stuff because he can. And that's like, I mean, what do you like? Even with like Deadpool, like he's got a dark humor, and with a lot of characters, he would kill him as assumed to talk to him. Like you don't really know what he's going to do, but you still know there's like this code that he follows. Like there's some measure of logic to what he does. But with Carnage, he just kills people. And so I mean,
does things.
yeah, he just does
So
stuff.
put him up against Moon Knight.
When did he fight Moon Knight? Actually, matter of fact, I haven't even read the new book, but I just picked it up. The trade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
Moon
it's
Knight.
so
Moon
good.
Knight is supposed to be inspired kind of by Batman.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
So
Batman
put Moon
kills.
Knight up
He's white
against
Batman.
Carnage.
Yeah,
White Batman.
I mean he's a super rich guy that dresses up in a
Did
suit.
you
and
really
fights
say he's
crime.
the white Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look,
I mean,
yeah,
his like
that's about as racist as you can get as people commenting on my Lantern video. Wait, so you mean to tell me that the white rings have all the power and the black rings are all dead people? Racist, DC.
Wow.
but no, like I would say that like Bruce Wayne's not as cool of a name as Mark Spector, but still like he's for the most part Batman in Marvel Comics. I don't really think there's much doubt about that in terms
No,
of like,
Moon Knight is very different from Batman.
he's
It's just
okay, fine.
No,
Okay.
he's
Moon Knight
not
is-
in the
Name me the
highlight.
differences. Give me the differences between Moon Knight and Batman.
First of all, Moon Knight has multiple personality disorder.
Okay, so aside from being crazy, like what else?
The other thing is
Aside
that
from
Mark
your first
Spector, Moon Knight's alter ego was military trained. And that's it.
Is it?
Yeah.
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 He was
Mark
he was
doesn't
with the
train
CIA
for,
for a
like,
while or
10
something like
Yeah,
that.
he was CIA trained. He was special forces. Like
Yeah.
he's seen combat.
Another thing is apparently Moon Knight's weapons came from like some Egyptian tomb or something like that,
Yeah, the
and
idea
they
was
were
like
they were made by some mutant, right? That travel back in time,
I don't
like with the X-Men. Anyways,
oh, yeah, 'cause that never happens. That's easy to pinpoint down. A mutant
Exactly.
all the time.
he had more of like a weird, like spiritual origin.
Yes.
So like,
It's dumb.
All right. Well, we're kind of getting
people in the
crazy off of
chat,
our tangents.
people in the chat are debating Molecule Man versus the Beyonder.
The chat gets a bit weird.
The chat gets a bit weird. Yeah, they get into their own debates. It's funny. It's funny to read.
We've hit all of the topics that we wanted to discuss today, except for one final one. And Dave was opening with it, and I cut him off and got us back on the original track.
That's true.
So I don't know if you've been reading it, but have you been reading Death of Wolverine? And since you're kind of a few weeks behind, you may not have been.
Yeah, I haven't read it. It's in my pull list, but I haven't picked it up yet.
Okay, so we really can't discuss Death of Wolverine then.
well,
I'm sorry, guys.
Spoilers. It's
what I was leading into that for was a question to ask you guys. If there's a lot of times when comic book stores gets damaged shipments, because I know 2 out of 4 of the comic book stores here got damaged shipments of Death of Wolverine, and they couldn't sell me any, but because they didn't have enough for the people who had pull lists.
Damaged comic books happen all the time. My store always gets them, and then I just go back and get them when they're good.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who's OCD with like comic books? Like when you pick them out, like
Oh,
you're
no.
like, bent corner back.
That goes to the back. Yeah.
I will not grab the one in the front. I will only. It has to be at least 3 back. If it's the last issue, I go find it elsewhere. I can't have a bent corner. I can't have a crease. The corner here can't be like overly sealed, like someone's been opening and closing it too much.
Yeah.
You know,
Right,
and then when
I'm
I
not that OCD. My God.
when I
man.
read it, I go through one time typically, and then I bag and board.
It's so true. But I feel like a crazy person because I'm always like, no, not that one, back corner, that one. And then, but I also do that with action figures too. So I'm looking at like the paint applications, like that one's got a smudge, not that one. Okay, no, this one.
Or you find the one
I used to
with
do that
the
too.
smudge, and you get him because that might be rare one day, and you get the one that's good because you need him for display.
Right.
Very
Well,
true.
but see, like being OCD like that makes sense because somebody at some point in time bought New Mutants issue number 98 and was OCD and kept it in mint condition and sold it for like $100,000. So, you know, it just depends. But
Deadpool issue?
do what?
New
That was
Mutants 98?
Deadpool's. Yeah, that was Deadpool's first appearance.
That's what
Oh,
they
yeah.
tell me. If whoever
That's-
sold it for $100,000 is a genius.
It's a super expensive
Which is
like comic to have in very rare condition. Like
What is
very
that,
rare
like,
condition.
I got that. Did it go up? Because I
No,
bought
it was
like,
he sold it in 9.9 condition.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
9.8.
That's hard to
I
get.
got mine 9.8 on that one.
All right, let's talk about speaking of like comics that are going for a lot. Action Comics 1 that just went for $3.2 million on eBay.
What?
But that's because the unprecedented grading on that book. What
Yes.
was it again? It was in the, I think it was like 8 point something. It was a great, it was like unprecedented.
How do you even sell something that expensive? through
eBay, man. He's on
Like-
eBay.
$3.5 million.
But-
People have sold their lives.
9.0 condition.
9.0.
Wow.
How did he do that? Did he go back in time and pick it up there? Like,
Wow.
Well, no, there's a video, a YouTube video on how he acquired it. Apparently, he bought it from this guy for a lot cheaper and just kept it in like a bank vault for years. And then he's like, "Hey, I want to be a millionaire. Let's sell it."
good on him.
Wow.
Yes. Well, that happened.
Wow.
I was telling my wife about it. I was like, imagine selling like a comic book that was like what 10 cents at the time, right? And
Yeah.
then knowing once you sell that, instant millionaire.
Well,
Yeah.
you know the reason. You know the reason why Action Comics #1 is so rare, right? Not just because of its age.
No,
Well,
because
because-
it broke them and tore them all up back then with the comics
Yeah,
authority thing. Yeah,
of the
Yeah.
paper donations for World War II.
Huh.
Right.
yeah,
I didn't
there's not
realize
many
that.
existence. Apparently, there's only a handful of copies in any condition around in the
Yeah.
world.
That's the other thing.
Like they're estimating like 50, I think, in existence from the
Action
original.
Comics
like,
issue number. Wow.
yeah, like
I mean, I'm
that's
sure there's
why
a ton of
it's so
reprints. but-
expensive.
Wow, that's
The
crazy.
the big thing that I'm wondering about this though is because this happens. This kind of thing happens every few years. We have a big comic. Because I think they just sold like Detective Comics #1 for like 300,000 or something crazy like 5-6 years ago. It seems like every few years some big comic goes for a massive amount. And I don't know about you guys, but I notice because I mean I know Sal and Aris, you go to the store. Dave, you just started going to the store, but either way, you see kind of like a resurgence of everybody trying to grab #1s and everything again. Like everyone thinking that I'll get the next $1 million book.
I definitely see them buying more number. I mean, everyone, like everybody that I ever see in the store is always like, oh, #1, but no one's ever like, grabs and goes like, "You suckers! I'm gonna go put this in the bank vault." No, it's over.
What? Yeah, it's pretty much over. I know Batman #1, since that title's so popular now from the New 52.
Yeah.
That issue's going for like $80 to $100.
Oh, cool! I'll sell mine.
I've got every variant for that. That's got to be worth something.
Yeah. Just to read it, I was like, "Oh, cool! New 52 Batman. I'll pick it up, see what's going on. I love Greg Capullo. Done." And then I was like, "Oh, cool."
So if you want like $80, whatever, go on eBay.
Done. I would love $80. And it's like it's never gonna be like what in like 20 years it'll be worth like $5. Like.
Watch though, you sell it and you were wrong. It's like 2,000.
I'm a toolbox. And
I
it happened
imagine the Magneto comic will be worth a lot in a while because this is the first time he's ever had like a solo comic.
Yeah,
like Magneto's never had it.
But what happens with the
Somebody
comic
will
collecting
care.
market is a lot different. The problem with the comic collecting market is it doesn't matter what happens in the comics for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have first
that's not
appearances
true.
of first appearances of Deadpool, Sinestro, that kind of thing. Those are worth some money. But if it's not a #1, you need to have something extremely significant happen in it. And the problem with the Marvel Now run is they are mass producing everything.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of any book from Marvel Now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, because they were kind of smart about that with the New 52. They did the first run, and they were like, "That's it. We're doing the first run, and then we're going to go to second. We're not going to mass produce."
What we have to do is we have to pay more money for everybody's comics to put them through a wood chipper, and then they will become rare enough to sell for more money.
Right.
You want to buy everybody else's comics to make us worth more.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting scheme.
That is interesting.
That sounds like a really bad supervillain scheme. I'm going to become a millionaire by killing all of your stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hell, it's like that episode of Batman the Animated Series when the Joker's grand scheme was to copyright Fish.
Yeah.
The Joker Fish. I love that episode.
That is also based off a really killer Neil Adams Batman book.
I was wondering if that was actually based on like somebody in the comments of that video had said like the comic was like it was almost toe to toe with the comic.
It was.
And I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was a comic.
Oh yeah, like
well, a lot of the episodes from the DC universe are so good because they take it straight from the continuity.
Oh yeah.
And I think the one that everyone still wants, especially from a direct to DVD or Blu-ray, is The Killing Joke.
Oh yeah.
Like everyone want that very, very. I think Mark Hamill even said he'll return.
He would come back
if they do The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
Which imagine him and Kevin Conroy Killing Joke.
That'd be
sweet.
The only problem is they couldn't do that in the animated series because it gets too violent.
Yeah,
direct to DVD.
It gets like really rapey and violent and.
Yeah, I had to direct the DVD. But Marvel did the same thing. Earth's Mightiest Heroes is great because it copies comic book storylines.
Yep.
That crappy new one, Avengers Assembled, is not great because they just beat each other up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was so mad when they canceled that series. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean,
that was like Justice League Unlimited for Marvel. Like it was
great.
It was awesome, and the theme song always got stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Always. I would sing it for the rest.
I remember being at New York Comic Con when they were releasing the show, like when they were releasing previews, and they just blasted that theme throughout the. And I'm like, this is the worst song I've ever heard. It has to stop because I've heard it for the last 4 hours. And then it came on, and like now it's over, and I'm like, I missed that stupid song that I hate so much. Like
and Spectacular Spider-Man.
Spectacular Spider-Man.
Spectacular Spider-Man. Oh, it's always stuck in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get it out.
If you ever watch, there's a show on Food Network called Cutthroat Kitchen.
Okay.
This is really obscure. Just the last like lick of that song, of the theme song for Cutthroat Kitchen, is also the harmony theme for Spectacular Spider-Man, and I hear it every single Monday night.
That's
and
hilarious.
I'm like, Spider-Man. Like, that's how it ends. I'm like, God damn it.
By the way, we talk about comic books and the Food Network. That's also on our podcast. I'm not sure if Rob fills you in, Eric.
And we're going to get the Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, now it's time for me to talk about what happened on Chopped.
Yeah.
I missed this. I missed Chopped. I was going to go Iron Chef this week.
So here's my question. So are you going to Comic-Con, Aris? In New York?
Comic-Con, no, I'm not going this year. Next year, I will be attending both, though. I'll be attending San Diego and New York. So
nice.
That's right.
Were you going to put them on like the ultimate spot? By the way, we're live. Are you going?
No. I was saying like it'd be awesome to like meet up and chill and
Oh yeah, for sure. So next year, if you go next year, I know I'm going next year.
Yeah.
Totally meet up.
Yeah,
we're going to both next year. This year. The New York thing kind of came out of the blue for us, so we haven't really done very much. We're trying to plan it as we're going, but because
here's out of the blue. All right, here's out of the blue, Aris. Benny gets on and says, "Hey guys, you want to go to New York Comic Con?" And we're like, "Sure." And he's like, "Okay." That's
I have a few connections to get press passes to Comic Con.
2 months later, oh yeah, 2 days. You gotta have your passes in 2 days. Like I didn't know you guys really wanted to go.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, wait. When we first started in May, just a quick little rundown, because I know we're kind of running a little later on time here and stuff like that. But when we first started these channels up in May or whatever, we were just really small. No one really watched the channels. And I had enough connections to get us into New York Comic Con, so I brought it up. No one mentioned it to me again until August when we brought Sal on the show. And Sal's like, oh, you said something about Comic Con. So I got him tickets. Yep. And then Dave and Rob hop on, and they're like, what, no tickets for us? You guys didn't say anything.
Yeah, I was like, hey, whoa. We're doing this.
But yeah, it was it's getting kind of crazy. But yeah, so do what?
I was gonna say I will be going to Comic-Con here in Dallas because I'm based out of Texas. So I think the 17th through the 20th I'm going to that. So
nice. That'll be fun.
Yes, that should be cool.
October?
Yes, it's like a week and a half after New York Comic Con because New York Comic Con's what, the 12th, right?
Yeah.
9th to the 12th.
9th to the 12th. Okay.
So
we should.
Since you guys have like been collecting single issue comics, what should I pick up for my 3 series?
Batman.
I'm gonna pick up.
That's my pick.
Anything Batman.
Of course.
Batman Eternal is really good when you just read it in one big sitting.
I'm gonna get the trade for that one. Sorry, Ben.
No, just get all 26 issues. I think we're on. What are we on today? I think it's 26. Yeah, we're on 26.
Yeah, just
if you're
spend $120.
If you're buying single issues, man, go back and get Secret Wars 1 and 2.
What?
That'd be my advice. Yeah, man.
No.
Yes. Secret Wars 1 and 2.
What comic store do you go to?
Secret Wars 1. We've got like 5 or 6 comic shops here that all of them have like a lot of old comics. But do what?
I say if he wants to do single issues like an older run, which isn't too expensive, Kraven's Last Hunt.
That is a good one.
And you can get those pretty cheap single issues. That's that's good.
Yeah.
Good series.
I've got an old like collected volume of it.
I'm looking at the value of Secret Wars if he's gonna buy single issues.
Dude, man.
I'll sell mine.
Jim Shooter's Secret Wars issue first part, like the Secret Wars 1, is so amazing. That's when Spider-Man gets the Venom symbiote.
It's also $60.
You know what, man? You gotta pay to play, man. You gotta pay to play.
You can get all 26 issues of Batman Eternal.
Oh man, Secret Wars is really, really good.
We're doing we're actually shooting tonight. We're shooting an episode of Back Issues, and we're doing Secret Wars.
Nice.
I'm vetoing it. You can't shoot that.
I can't wait to see that. So, all right, Air. So when we get about to the point where we're starting to close out the podcast, everybody just kind of runs over what it is that they're going to have going on. So give us the spiel. Give us the rundown of what it is you have coming up.
By the way, for anybody who's watching this and unaware of who he is, and I'm pretty shocked if anybody was, but he's from Variant Comics, /Variant Comics, and this is what his show is going to be doing next week. You do every Wednesday, right? And then
every Wednesday, and I have one-shots that are at random. So, like, something I want to talk about, or tomorrow they released a trailer for Batman v Superman. I'll shoot an episode real quick, put up my thoughts on it.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. But what I have coming up next week is actually going to be one that people have been wanting for a while now, History of Wonder Woman. So I'm finally going to be tackling that. Because everyone's like, you did History of Toxin before History of Wonder Woman? I'm like, I wanted to wait for the right time. I originally wanted to wait for, around Batman v Superman, but that's like way far out, especially since they pushed it back. So I'm like, I'm just going to do it. Because I've already done Aquaman and most of the Justice League, and people have been wanting it, so I want to please them.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I plan things out the same way myself, where it's like, oh, look, like this month, I would not to segue in, but this month I'm doing the exact same thing. Arrow and Flash are coming out, so I'm like, look, we're doing Flash and Arrow month. Look at how convenient that is.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of interest out there for Wonder Woman now, since like they're finally getting around to making Wonder Woman like a big deal in terms of like cinematic production. So which is about time.
Yeah. Okay. I know you put it up, and I didn't see it, and because I've done a lot of things going on. I didn't see. I know it came out of your channel, but just in a quick 1-sentence response, how do you feel about the Wonder Woman costume?
I like it.
The brown leather. Okay.
Here's the thing. I mean, I know a lot of the gripe, I guess, with it is it's not as bright, it's darker, or some people are saying like she's got like, you know, stripper heels on. How can you fight in stripper heels?
Right.
I mean, I think I need another picture too because it's kind of far.
Yeah.
I guess to tell the colors, it's kind of gritty, but you can kind of tell from people photoshopping or just bringing up the contrast that it is going to be a darker blue or darker red. So once we see it in like a trailer or a better picture, I'll have my final opinion. But as of now, judging for that one photo, I like it. It kind of looks like the costume from Wonder Woman Earth 2. Have you guys seen it kind of looks similar to that Wonder Woman costume.
Yeah.
But overall, I like it.
Okay.
No real gripes.
No real anger, because I've seen the exact same argument. Everyone's like, "What have they done to her? She's so slim and slender and not bulky and no colors." And
but I don't understand. Like,
she's been thin forever.
That's what I'm saying. Like, have they not seen, especially New 52, Jim Lee drawing her, or Sherry Dodson, or like anyone that's like she's slim.
She hasn't had muscle mass. She's barely had tone now for the last like 5 years.
They're
like
probably they're all just basing their opinion off of like the Darwin Cook Justice League New Frontier series, where she was like like an Amazonian.
Like, I don't think anyone wants a female bodybuilder Wonder Woman. So
China.
Like, you want to be an attractive.
Nothing against Xena, but we don't want Xena.
No, dude.
You know what though?
Xena, nothing, man. We're talking about China from 1997 WWF. Man.
If they did a Wonder Woman movie in like '94, I would have taken Xena though. Lucy Lawless would have been an awesome Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Oh, Lucy Lawless back when she was doing Xena Warrior Princess.
No question.
Man, yeah, she had it going on.
With her crazy.
Oh boy, Rob's going on his creepy.
Man, whatever, man, whatever.
And then they should have Kevin Sorbo as Thor back then, if they didn't back then, right?
Kevin Sorbo.
That would have been great. Now he may be too old.
I don't know, man. I don't know how I'd feel about a Kevin Sorbo Thor movie. It'd be like a David Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie. It'd be like
Oh, exactly. It would be very 90s.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too great. But anyway, so Sal, so you said you're filming back issues tonight.
Yes, we're shooting an episode of Back Issues tonight. That'll go up next Thursday, or a week from today. We'll be doing Secret Wars by Jim Shooter and the gang from Marvel in 1984. This week we had an episode of Back Issues came out. It was Superman Birthright. A lot of people were complaining that we didn't do enough DC. A lot of people were complaining we don't talk about books we like. Last week's episode was especially hairy because we did Zero Year. And we weren't huge fans of Zero Year, and Scott Snyder was like, "Sorry, you didn't like it," and the chat blew up, and they were like, "You don't like anything DC? Zack Snyder's killing it." I'm like, "Dude, I love it, but like Zero Year, I wasn't a big fan of." And they were like, "Do something you like," and I'm like, "Birthright, here you go." Mark Waid fucking nails it.
Yeah, that was quite funny. We had Sal, to elaborate a little more, had a slight pretty much somebody showed Sal tore apart Zero Year. You tore it apart. That's what you did.
Tore it apart.
Look, there are a lot of elements that I liked, but like
somebody linked it to Scott Snyder, who then went and watched it and commented on the video.
Yeah.
He was, by the way, the classiest dude ever. Drops F-bombs like you wouldn't know. I'm just kidding. He was so friggin' cool about it, and like he was, he said he was just like, "Sorry, you didn't dig it, man. I'm glad you liked other things I've done." I'm like, "No, man, like I liked part of Zero Year. It was just
You're backtracking now. You're like, no, you misunderstood.
No.
The Red Hood stuff was really good.
Saw my video.
Like you gave Riddler dignity, but you created an uncle for Bruce Wayne. That's dumb and that's cool. But and then we chatted on like in private because I wasn't like, I didn't want to open it up. I wanted to be like, hey everybody, let's watch our conversation. So I like contacted him personally. I'm like, dude, I'm like, my dopey show is not worth like you feeling bad. But he's really cool. Like he was really cool about it. And
you know what's gonna happen, man? He's gonna be in New York, and he's gonna come walking up, and he's gonna be
and I'm gonna get punched in the face.
Sal? And he's like, you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm Sal, and he's gonna be like,
that's
me.
He'll know it's me. I'm the like my face. He'll be like, hey, Back Issues. I'm like, yeah, it's me. He's like, boom.
Yeah.
I liked how they explained where the penny came from though with his uncle.
I like that too. No, like there were a lot of different things that I really liked. I just thought it was a little overcomplicated. I thought it was like really bloated. I just thought there were too many details. Like it was just there's a lot going in there. And it was like one after the other, and Anyway, this week we did Birthright. I liked that a lot. That's what we did, and and we're reviewing Lobo #1, Thor #1, and Death of Wolverine #4 or 3, whatever the newest one is, on Off the Rack.
Cool,
awesome. Benny, did you tell us what you had going on? Yes, you did. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm messing around.
I see how it is. I'm not important anymore. That's how that works. No, I'm doing Deadpool, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly this week. That's still coming out. I already did Batman Court of the Owls. They're doing Deadpool, Good, Bad, the Ugly. Next week is going to be Flash, the 1 through 5 run, Batman Night of the Owls, and Deadpool Original Sin. I had to do Good, Bad, the Ugly first because you can't explain the story of Deadpool's daughter without explaining how he got a daughter.
Yeah.
Doesn't make much sense. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then all month I'm doing Flash and Arrow stuff because it's October and CW is going to give us a bunch of Smallville shows.
Yeah.
Makes sense, man. Dave, do you have anything coming out this week?
Yep, I'm gonna do the Underside Civil War. Finally finish that up. Then hopefully I'm going to be able to, in one video, do a review of the collection of Criminal.
Oh, cool.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
an indie comic series, right?
It's 2 deluxe hardcover volumes that I have, so I'm gonna do those.
Yeah, you've been telling me to read that, but I just haven't had time to. I need to check it out at some point.
You know what's a good indie series that I don't know if you guys are reading? Five Ghosts from Image.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I'm loving that.
Oh,
I've been reading Low is what I've been reading mostly.
Well,
right
it
now.
looks good. I haven't read it yet, but it looks
I haven't
good.
read that either.
It's like a Fantastic Four family at the end of the world, and they have to like go save everybody, but they have no powers.
I'm trying to wait on a deluxe collection for what's it called? Saga.
Saga's so good.
Yeah, because that's coming out soon, and I just got the first volume, and I was thinking, like, I was really tempted, like, I want to get 2 and 3, but then I was like, nope, I'm gonna wait because
Omnibus?
it'll be worth it.
Omnibus. Gotta omnibus it.
Hey, I'm a big fan of the deluxe hardcovers and the omnibus.
You know,
omnibus
to each his own, man.
collections.
I've never bought an absolute edition, but I think I would buy an absolute edition of Saga.
I love how
Yeah.
Aris has been here for like an hour and a half, and he already knows what to mock Dave for.
You and your omnibuses, man.
Oh, omnibus!
Gotta get on them single issues, man. Oh man. All right. For those of you guys who have been screaming at me for like the last 3 days on Twitter and in comments and in private messages, asking me if I've given up or died or something like that. No, I'm very much alive. And yes, part 4 of Infinity Gauntlet will be out tomorrow. So people have been like raking me because I stopped at like the worst point in time. I'm like, in the next video, we're going to see what happens when all the superheroes get together and try to fight Thanos. And that'll be in like 3 days. So, so people were getting really mad at me about it.
You've done it better than I did, because I ended Court of the Owls as the Night of the Owls begins. I'm like, and all of the assassins, they jump into Gotham. They're ready to fight. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah. I mean, what can you do? But Infinity Gauntlet Part 4 is when stuff gets good, because Part 1 through 3 is all dialogue. Part 4 is where all the action comes in. So we'll get
And it's
like
also in
superheroes.
Starlin dialogue, so it's just so clunky and
It's it's what you'd expect when you sit down. I mean, it hasn't changed. Like if you've read the new Thanos Revelation, I think it is the one that just came out that brings Adam Warlock back. It's the same thing.
it's so terrible.
The comic even gets to like this weird place. It gets to this weird.
Sal is so on board with this.
Jim
so you know,
Jim Starlin makes really good storylines. Jim Starlin is awesome when it comes to making cosmic storylines. Jim Starlin is not good. Yes, he does. He's not good with like one-on-one conversation.
I'm just saying, like, it's just like, why does it have to be so boring?
Okay,
like,
maybe Jim Starlin's DC stuff sucks, but
no, it doesn't. He wrote Death of the
Marvel,
Family. Like,
but Marvel stuff, Jim Starlin's Marvel stuff is awesome.
Jim Starlin killed Jason Todd. Okay, nothing that he has ever done for Marvel, aside from like making Adam Warlock an egg, lives up to that. Okay,
Making him an egg.
Didn't
Hey,
Jim
that was the
Starlin
best moment ever.
write most of Infinity Gauntlet, or am I wrong?
he wrote it all.
He wrote it all.
Yeah.
Almost all the stories in Marvel that involve Thanos, the Silver
Adam
Surfer,
Warlock.
Adam Warlock,
Gamora, Pip the Troll,
Yeah,
all
that's
these
all
great
Jim
characters
Starlin
he
stuff.
loved.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. As Sal would say, this rich history of,
Yes, it's rich
of
history.
Jim Starlin.
Well, he like kind of like co-created like their cosmic universe.
Yeah, he really
essentially.
did.
Yeah,
It was like
and
Jack
nothing
Kirby and Jim Starlin.
matches up for what he did for Marvel, like killing off Robin.
I consider the death of Jason Todd to be it's like the death of Gwen Stacy for Batman. It's like a cultural touchstone for comics.
I'll agree. I'll agree with that. It's a great story.
So
I just like Red Hood in general too. How they brought him back and everything.
You know,
Red Hood.
I expected it to suck, but I read Under the Red Hood and it was really tight. And what I liked was I don't remember who wrote it. Crap, who wrote Under the Red Hood? Well, anyway, he wrote the DC movie adaptation as well, and so it's
which was a great movie.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah,
that's the only one that I don't mind. Kevin Conroy not playing Batman.
You know, I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you on that one.
Everybody else, I'm like, no, but like that guy, I think it's the guy from Star Trek, like the guy who plays the captain.
No, that Peter Weller I know does Dark Knight Returns. Is that?
Yeah. It's no. There's a guy. I don't remember.
Okay.
But he's never played I think he played Batman in the Teen Titans cartoon, not the Teen Titans Go, but the Young Justice cartoon.
Okay.
Like that guy came back to play Batman in Under the Red Hood and that cartoon series.
Right. The guy who's also a really good voice of Batman, I think, is the guy who voices Batman in Arkham Origins. He kind of sounds like Kevin Conroy.
He does. He does a nice job. He nailed it better than the guy in like Year One. I don't remember who played him in Year One, but that was.
Wasn't it like a guy from like a Gossip Girl type guy? You know, like one of the CW shows or something.
Yeah, he was so horrible. I was like,
Speaking
what
of
have you
Gossip
done?
Girl, what are your opinions on iZombie?
Oh,
By the way, nobody's told you yet about Sal. He is our our nitpicker that doesn't like anything that isn't original.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, Superman Earth 1 is terrible, and I thought it was good.
Yeah, I didn't.
I thought it was a good contribution and a change as opposed to the goody-goody Superman of old.
No.
I like
and that's how we're going to end this. Yeah. Just on Sal stating no. So, I think at this point we've all given our exits, our outros more than like 20 minutes ago. And I
now
think
we're just ranting.
Now we're just rambling.
I'm sorry.
So thank you guys so much for joining us for the weekly poll this week. As usual, I'm Benny for Comic Story, and that's Rob for Marvel Explained. That is Sal for TV Little House. That is Dave for Comics Reviews, and that is Aris. I will never get his last name right for Variant Comics.
Quinones.
Quinones. Did I get it?
Quinones.
See, I got it wrong. I tried. And as usual, if you guys enjoyed the show, please give it a like. Give a subscription to every one of the channels because we really do appreciate that. Follow us on Twitter because we're all talking and having wars because I hate Rob on Twitter because he doesn't do it right.
I guess. I don't know.
And as usual, we will see you guys next week. With the four of us normal, maybe one day we'll bring back Aris. I don't know. Dave seems to have really hated him, so we'll check it out next week.
Anyway,
thanks so much, guys, and we'll head out today.
See you guys later.
Okay.
Peace.
See ya.
Bye.